All right, I want to talk to you a little bit today about the settings in your course. Your courses may be looking a little different than you were used to. Now that Jamie's done that Moodle update, he's switched some of the themes around because some of them were not compatible with the new Moodle, so things may be looking a little different. So I want to show you a couple of things and where you can find it to maybe make it look a little bit more familiar or find the things you're used to finding in a different location. So it's possible that your theme looks similar to mine does right now, and you have a button in the upper right-hand corner that says Turn Editing On. If not, you may have a little gear, although I believe all of the themes that had a little gear um, were the ones that were incompatible with the new Moodle. So they are switched over, and I think all of the themes that are compatible look something like this. But if not, it's always going to be in the upper right corner near the title, some kind of chance to edit. Now, once you do that, it kind of depends again. If you have a gear there, there'll be a little drop down arrow right next to it, and you'll see some of these things. If your theme looks like mine, and I'll tell you what that theme is in just a moment when we get there, your editing is all going to be along this left side, this navigation block. Okay, so I'm going to make that a little bigger for you to see. And then what I usually do is I close up my courses so that I can actually see what's underneath there. So under navigation, you'll see administration. This is where things are powerful. Okay, so here's going to be all of your administrative settings type things for your course. Again, if you're looking at a theme that looks similar to this. So you can click on Edit Settings, or again, if you're clicking from the upper right and you've got a drop-down menu with the gear, it will also say Edit Settings. That's where we want to look. And regardless of what theme, once you get here, it will be here. Okay, so there's lots to talk about in the settings. A lot of it we don't need to mess with. So I'm going to leave the general, the description, all of that alone. And I want to go down to format and appearance today. Those are kind of the two main ones, but I'm going to start with appearance. So appearance is where you see those themes. So the theme that I'm working under is classic right now. I like that one. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to find everything. You'll notice there's a slightly different list than what we've seen before, mostly boost, right, in a number of different colors. Classic, and then we've got a couple under here, Fordson Foundation and Class. I'm not actually sure. I don't know that I've tried those ones, but what you can do if you want to change it around and see the way that it looks, maybe I really like pink. I want to make my class the pink version of Boost. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like, so I'm going to hit Save and Display. And actually, it looks pretty similar as before. So that could be part of what is going on with the Moodle updates, actually, now that I think about that. Let me go back to settings, though. Let's call it classic, or let's see, maybe I want to see one of those new ones, see if there's anything different there, like foundation. That sounds interesting. Save and display. Looks about the same. So I think what's happening is in this new Moodle that they're all sort of turning out to be about the same. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to call it classic again. It's also possible on your desktop versus an iPad that things are going to look a little bit different. But depending on what's available, that's where you can change it around and pick your own preference that you like. Whoops, sorry, I should turn my messages off. The other settings under appearance we don't really want to mess with. If you are someone who likes to make a lot of announcements using that announcements feature, you could make that a larger number or less if you don't use it. But otherwise, we want to definitely keep the gradebook shown to the students. Activity reports, that's really valuable information. You can see who's been on and for what long, how long. So the other thing that can kind of change the mechanics of your course is the course format. So for my class, I use weekly format. I think probably most of us who are teaching on a semester basis do that. Um, we also can do topics. That's probably the other most common one is rather than breaking it down by weeks, you can break it down by topics. For example, on our intensive math classes, we have it split by modules. So there are 10 modules, and so I use the topics there to break that down. Now, those are basically the same idea where you've got a bunch of chunks in a row. Single activity format and social are a little different. Those might have some more specific purposes that you could explore, but probably not as common. Then you can choose a couple of options here that you may not know about. You can hide sections either collapsed or completely. So for example, if you want to have some links that are like on one page of your Moodle page and you want it to go somewhere, but you don't want the students to be able to get to that page on their own. You want them to have to page through, if that makes sense. You can put them in a section and then just hide that section, or you can add an extra week and then just hide that week so students don't have access to it unless they go through the path that you want to set them up. Again, that's a little more sophisticated, probably not something you need to worry about too much. But also show all sections on one page. You may want to, if you are working maybe with some younger students and you don't want them to be overwhelmed by the amount of information, you could show just one section at a time. So each week, just that week's information pops up. That's kind of a neat feature if you want to break it down a little bit more. So between the format and the appearance, that's where you can kind of play around with how that course is set up. And again, if you're unfamiliar with the current theme that you're in, we got to all of this along the side. I had to close up my courses and go under course administration. I'm going to hit cancel because I want to make sure I didn't change anything in my course. And just a few other notes of what's under the administration. You can turn your editing back off. You could also do that up in the upper right. You can set up course completion, which I'll cover in another video. You can set up your gradebook, which again, I'll cover in another video. Badges we don't really use. There are some interesting reports under here you could look through. We could talk about that in another video as well. You can look at your users. That's important to see who's enrolled. And then if you have somebody you need to disenroll because they're not supposed to be in the class, you can do that there as well. And then your backup, restore, import, all of those things that I know Jamie's covered in videos for a few years in a row, and I'll do some other short ones on that as well. All of those are there as well. All right, so hopefully that helps ease any anxiety you're having over your course looking different than it did before. We will go through some of those things as we go on, and hopefully that helps. All right, thanks.